NCIS is one of the longest-running shows ever to grace our television sets. With a total of around 19 seasons, NCIS has been on air for longer than you can imagine. But what makes this show so great? And why is it still on air even after this many seasons? Well, we'll be talking about all of it in today's video. So sit back and enjoy what we've got in store for you. NCIS doesn't rush the story. As if it wasn't obvious enough from the 19 seasons, NCIS does not rush its story. Most crime shows out there struggle with balancing overreaching individual character arcs along with the main storyline, but it seems to come effortlessly to the NCIS writers. While other shows prefer to give most of the screen time to the main plot as compared to a character's backstory, NCIS smoothly carries on different subplots throughout episodes. It's tempting to cram everything in a 40-minute episode, but NCIS makes sure the characters delve into their past at just the right time. After all, storytelling is a key part of the show for them, and they don't like to rush things. It wasn't until the third season of the show that viewers got a glimpse into Gibbs' life and the revelation of his first wife Shannon and his daughter Kelly. The show also went into the reason why he never mentioned or brought them up. This way, what were supposed to be 2D characters turned into fleshed out individuals on the show that fans can actually connect with. The fact that the show's been able to tell its story for years now without worrying about having to cut it short also helps the case. NCIS writes for its audience. The writers working on the show definitely know who they're writing for. NCIS does its best to understand its audience and their values. They've made sure to target their particular demographic of viewers, which comprises Republicans and Independents. You'll find Democrats as well, but in lesser numbers in the fandom. This might explain why the show leans in a conservative direction. After all, NCIS's main lead is a stoic, masculine lead who prioritizes his job and prefers to keep his emotions to himself. However, this doesn't imply that his character is unlikable or poorly developed. Gibbs is, in fact, one of the most loved characters on the show. It's just that his initial reaction to events appeals to conservative values. He still experiences the full spectrum of human emotions in his own way, and surprisingly, it works well to appeal to the audience. Other characters on the show embody a similar set of values that work well in the show's favor. Abby, who's a church-going patriot, is a perfect example. With that said, there's nothing really innovative or all that special about the way that the NCIS agents approach criminal cases and solve crimes. It's pretty much a part of the show's great genius. In this age of technological advancement, satellite imagery, supercomputers, and so on, NCIS does its best to distinguish itself from many other television shows by sticking to the usual hands-on work, which has its own appeal to audiences. A diverse cast. Although some may complain about the main white lead, there are still plenty of other diverse cast members on the show. We've got Special Agent Jessica Knight, who's played by none other than Katrina Law. With her father a German and her mother a Buddhist, Katrina has got a German, Italian, and Taiwanese ethnicity. When she was a teenager, she was crowned Miss New Jersey Teen USA, which isn't surprising given her looks. Then there's Special Agent Nick Torres, who's played by Wilmer Valderrama. He's of Venezuelan and Colombian origin. On screen, he takes on a character who grew up in Colón, Panama. We also have NCIS director Leon Vance, who's played by Rocky Carroll, and forensic scientist Cassie Hines, who's played by Diona Reasanover. Other than these resident characters, we've seen a couple of guest stars pop up as well. Some stayed for a single episode, while others stayed for a couple of seasons before leaving. Cote de Pablo was one of them. She portrayed the character of Israeli Mossad officer turned NCIS agent Ziva David for a good chunk of the show before making her departure. Lisa Lapira took on the role of Special Agent Michelle Lee. Other than that, we've got to see a few cameos from PLL star Troyan Bellisario, LL Cool J, Paula Newsome, Millie Bobby Brown, and Jamie Lee Curtis. Tamara Taylor as Cassie Yates and Zac Efron as Daniel Austin are also worth mentioning. Even Michelle Obama made an appearance on the crime show. All in all, the show has managed to take on a diverse cast of characters over the years who've been responsible for bringing different characters to life on the big screen. In the end, all of these characters have added to the richness of the show by bringing all kinds of identities and stories to the mix. Jaw-dropping performances. It's these very talented actors who have managed to deliver some of the best performances in TV history. Who can forget Christopher Lloyd's heartfelt performance in the season 17 finale? Although only a cameo, the Back to the Future actor made sure to bring the best to the show. Most TV shows tend to go for flashbacks, but when Lloyd's character Joe Smith shared what had happened in the USS Arizona with the team, it seemed like it wasn't necessary. His facial reactions and body language conveyed all the emotion needed to make the scene a memorable one. Brian Dietzon's performance in season 14, episode 13, Keep Going, is also one for the books. During the episode, Palmer stepped out on the ledge with a suicide jumper. We rarely get to see much of Palmer since he's always performing autopsies, but once Brian was given the spotlight, he made sure to deliver. Audiences couldn't help but be touched as Palmer talked about his relationship with Gibbs and his family during the episode. His performance in season 19, episode 13, The Helpers, was equally praiseworthy, as Palmer suffered the after effects of a poison while his daughter Victoria watched on. The show's finales are especially tearjerkers as the actors bring their A-game. Episode 24, of season 24 particularly had viewers reaching for their tissues, as it marked the end of Ziva's character. It was certainly an emotional farewell, and let's not get started on Gibbs' farewell episode. All in all, NCIS just doesn't focus on solving crime. Its actors make sure to bring the emotional element in their performances, and as the story goes through its ups and downs, you can't help but be moved. The lovable characters. The cast of characters over at NCIS is basically a classic procedural crew. It features cookie-cutter stereotypes that become characters based on their different personality traits. The team leader Gibbs, who's played by Harmon, is portrayed as the resident coffee-obsessed stoic. He's a former Marine who is sometimes exasperated by his silly underlings. The investigator, Anthony DiNozzo, played by the great Michael Weatherly, is shown as a womanizing douche who's quick to spot references in movie trivia all the time. Ziva David, played by Cote de Pablo, is a cold-hearted Israeli-born Mossad operative who can't speak English all that well. The forensic scientist Abby Sciuto, played by Polly Perrette, is seen as a tattooed goth that drives to work in a decked-out hearse, and the list goes on. But as time went on, these characters became more than the sum of their tics. The scripting and the storylines have made sure to focus on each of their characters, making sure to round off their personalities to make them all the more memorable and interesting. This, to us, is one of the key points that separate NCIS from all the other procedurals on cable television. Unlike the cops and the lawyers from Law & Order, the characters in CIS have lives off the job as well. They're given time on the screen with flashbacks that visit the personal lives of the characters as well as their hometowns. Even the dreams of the characters are artfully woven together in the weekly investigations. They also make sure to introduce the characters' families and their home lives. This is pretty different to second-rate shows that solve the crime of the week and then devote the last segment of the episode to a bigger season-long mystery. Why does Harmon make the show a success? It seems like the show's main star has his own thoughts on why NCIS has been a huge success for this long. In an interview with Larry King in 2014, Mark attributed it to the hard work of the show's cast and crew. In his view, the behind-the-scenes work environment is what enables the actors to thrive in front of the camera, thereby delivering some memorable performances. Mark further added that as a writer, you could come on the show and write a great case story, but that doesn't guarantee your survival on the job. If you want to make it, you need to be able to write human characters. It seems like, in Mark's view, the reason why the show's been a success so far is not because of the interesting plot, but rather the characters that the audiences are able to connect with. And that's pretty much it for the video. What do you think makes NCIS so popular? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to tune in for future videos. Till then, see you later, and goodbye.